When you think of Steve Jobs, what's the first word that comes to mind? Is it genius? Is it designer? Is it maybe an innovator? Most business owners believe Steve Jobs won because he built incredible products, and they aren't wrong, right? I've got a couple. But I can almost guarantee you that you have one of these within 2 feet of you right now, but that's not the real story, and that's not the real reason he won. That's the surface level story, right? The real story, the one that actually matters to entrepreneurs, to leaders, to communicators, is happening on a completely different level. Now, if you watch this keynote, Steve Jobs is not just launching a phone. He is controlling perception, he's shaping belief, and he is installing a feeling of inevitability into the minds of millions of people before they've ever even touched the product. And in this video, I'm going to reveal the 10 separate influence tactics that he used to do it. Now, this isn't about the tech, this is about the code that runs the human mind. Because if you don't understand what he's really doing on this stage, you will build great products, you will have a good business, but you will never, ever build a real legacy. Now stay with me, because tactic number 7 specifically is the one that he uses to make the audience feel like they came up with the idea themselves. And tactic number 10 is personally my favorite, because it's probably the most powerful. Now, you might be wondering why you should listen to me break this down. For years, I played the game in the way that everybody tells you to. I learned the scripts, I learned the techniques, I learned how marketing funnels work, sales, communication, psychology, neuroscience. I even got good at all of it, right? I closed over $100 million in deals in my first 4 years. But I was exhausted and I felt like a fraud, because I saw people like Jobs, like world leaders, like the great icons throughout history. They were never selling anything. They were operating on a completely different playing field. They were influencing. So I went on a quest. I invested over $1 million of my own money in studying everything from clinical psychology and behavior science to the tradecraft used by intelligence agencies. And what I found was that all the information out there was either too philosophical to be useful or too clinical to be powerful. And so I've made it my mission to reverse engineer the code of the world's most influential leaders throughout history, to demystify it, to simplify it, and to turn it all into a system that any one of us can use. So what I'm about to show you are the keys to the kingdom. These are the 10 master keys that Steve Jobs consistently used to put a dent in the universe. So let's get into it.
Hey, real quick, do you have your email on you? Because on April 3rd at 4 p.m. EST, I'm going over inside my school community everything about how to read the signals that people are sending unconsciously and how to shift them, as well as how to spot your own and shift it for yourself. Because you can be saying all the right things, but if it's not landing, then it's likely something underneath the words themselves. And if you continue to run discussions or calls or meetings or marketing with that signal being broadcast, you're going to be saying all the right things, but getting all the wrong responses. So if you'd like to fix that, comment the word influence and I'll send you the invite to join the masterclass. It is completely free and it is held in my school group called The Game of Influence. I'll see you there.
Now first, he doesn't just start. He makes the moment feel historic before it's even begun.
This is a day I've been looking forward to for 2.5 years.
He says, this is the day that I've been looking forward to for 2.5 years. Now, what does that do? That's called anticipation framing. He's creating value out of thin air because your brain immediately thinks if he, Steve Jobs, has been waiting for 2.5 years for this, it must be monumental. He's just pre-selling the importance of the moment before he's shown you a single thing. He's telling you how to feel about what you're about to see. Now for you, what this means is before you reveal your next big idea, your new offer, your key insight, frame its importance. Tell people how long you've been working on it. Tell them it's the culmination of a decade of experience. Create your stage before you step onto it. Next, Steve Jobs connects this new thing to a pattern of past revolutions.
In 1984, we introduced the Macintosh. It didn't just change Apple, it changed the whole computer industry. In 2001, we introduced the first iPod. And it didn't just change the way we all listen to music, it changed the entire music industry.
Right? He talked about in the 80s with the Macintosh, it didn't change Apple, it can change the whole computer industry. And then in 2001, I think it was the iPod, right? That's historical anchoring. He's creating a pattern in your brain that Apple equals innovation, Apple equals revolution. Macintosh changed everything. The iPod changed everything. Therefore, this third thing must also change everything. He's using the certainty of the past to create certainty about the future, right? That's not a pitch. That's a borderline prophecy. And for you, what are 2 or 3 undeniable wins in your past or your company's past? state them as fact, and then when you introduce your new idea, it doesn't feel like a risk. It feels like the next logical step in a proven pattern of success. Now, number 3, this is where the masterclass, in my opinion, really begins. He sets up a simple, satisfying pattern and then shatters it for maximum impact.
Today, we're introducing 3 revolutionary products of this class. The first one is a widescreen iPod with touch controls. The second is a revolutionary mobile phone. And the third is a breakthrough internet communications device. So, 3 things: a widescreen iPod with touch controls, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communications device. An iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. An iPod, a phone. Are you getting it?
So he talked about a widescreen iPod, he talked about a revolutionary mobile phone, and then a breakthrough in internet communications device, an iPod, an iPhone, an internet communicator, right? So he used the rule of 3. Our brains love the number 3. It feels complete, it feels memorable. And he drills that in: iPod, phone, internet. He even used what's called a participation prompt. Are you getting it? Which forces your brain to stay engaged and say yes. And just when the pattern is locked in your head, he does this. These are not 3 separate devices, this is one device, and we are calling it iPhone. Boom, right? That's the pattern interrupt. Your brain expected 3, and he gave you 1. And that surprise creates this jolt, a massive dopamine hit that opens your mind up and makes the next thing that he says, the name iPhone, imprint that much deeper. So he created a mystery, and then he solved it in a way that you weren't expecting. For you, try setting up a predictable pattern for your audience. Lead them down a path, and right when they think they know where you are going, break the pattern. And the surprise will make your core messaging unforgettable. Now that Steve Jobs has revealed the iPhone.
iPhone. Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone. And here it is. No. Actually, here it is, but we're going to leave it there for now. The most advanced phones are called smartphones, so they say. And they typically combine a phone plus some email capability, plus they say it's the internet, sort of the baby internet, into one device, and they all have these plastic little keyboards on them. And the problem is that they're not so smart, and they're not so easy to use. So if you kind of make a Business School 101 graph of the smart axis and the easy to use axis, phones, regular cell phones are kind of right there. They're not so smart, and they're not so easy to use. But smartphones are definitely a little smarter, but they actually are harder to use.
He has to prove that it's superior. But he doesn't compare it on his competitors' terms. He creates his own game, one that he's guaranteed to win. This is what's called a straw man showdown. He sets up the problem with all the other smartphones. They're either smart but hard to use, or easy to use but not very smart. He literally draws the box that his competitors are trapped in. He controls the frame of comparison. And once you control the scoreboard, you control who wins. Now for you, this means don't just list your features. Define the entire category that the features fit within. Create a simple 2x2 grid as an example that shows the problem with every other solution, and then place your product in the one empty perfect quadrant. Frame the game before you try to play the game, and especially before you try to win it. Now number 5 is especially subtle but incredibly powerful. After he sets up the straw man, he positions Apple not as a competitor but as a different species of company, right?
Well, we don't want to do either one of these things. What we want to do is make a leapfrog product that is way smarter than any mobile device has ever been and super easy to use. This is what iPhone is. Okay?
He says, we don't want to do either one of these things. We want to make a leap product that's smarter than any other mobile device has ever been and super easy to use. So he's creating a tribe of us versus them. And them being Nokia, BlackBerry, Motorola, whoever, stuck in the old game. We being Apple, and by extension you, the audience, are taking a leap into the future. So people don't just buy products, they buy an identity, right? Most people know this. They buy a ticket to a tribe that they want to belong to. And Jobs is selling you a ticket to the smarter, more advanced tribe. Now for you, who is the them in your industry, the old guard, the complicated solutions, the overpriced consultants. Define them, and then position your brand as the rallying cry for us who are ready for something better. Now, tactic number 6. Before Jobs reveals his solution, he makes you feel the pain of the present moment as deeply as possible.
The problem with them is really sort of in the bottom 40 there. It's this stuff right here. They all have these keyboards that are there whether you need them or not to be there. And they all have these control buttons that are fixed in plastic and are the same for every application. Well, every application wants a slightly different user interface, a slightly optimized set of buttons just for it. And what happens if you think of a great idea 6 months from now? You can't run around and add a button to these things. They're already shipped. So what do? It doesn't work because the buttons and the controls can't change. They can't change for each application.
Right? The problem is they're stuck with these plastic buttons and they can't change. They're just fixed in plastic and you can't change them for the application. This is problem agitation. He doesn't just say that the keyboards are bad. He makes them feel stupid and archaic and limiting, right? He words it a step, right? He's creating this emotional state of frustration in the audience so they are desperate for a solution. For you, this means don't just state your customer's problem, agitate it. Use emotional language. Make them feel the frustration of their current situation so intensely that your solution feels like a breath of fresh air. Now, tactic number 7. Here it is, the moment he gets the audience to invent the solution for him. He presents a bad option that everyone knows is bad so that he can just reject it and make his solution feel like a stroke of genius, right?
Well, what we're going to do is get rid of all these buttons and just make a giant screen. A giant screen. Now, how are we going to communicate this? We don't want to carry around a mouse, right? So what are we going to do? Oh, a stylus, right? We're going to use a stylus. No. No. Who wants a stylus? You have to get them and put them away and you lose them. Yuck. Nobody wants a stylus. So let's not use a stylus.
So he says, so how are we going to do it? We don't want to use stylus. You have to get them, put them away, you lose them. Nobody wants that. So let's not use that. This is what's called a false choice setup. He knows that nobody wants a stylus, and so he brings it up as the obvious but terrible alternative. And the audience collectively thinks, no, not a stylus. And he delivers a punchline. We're going to use the best pointing device in the world. We're going to use our fingers. And the crowd erupts. But why? It's because he led them to the answer and made them feel like they were part of the discovery. He didn't just give them the solution, he made them reject the alternative first. This creates buy-in at a subconscious level. And for you, think about what's the stylus in your industry? The obvious but clumsy solution that everyone else is trying. Bring it up, throw rocks, show why it's flawed, and then present your solution as the elegant, obvious, and natural answer. Now, number 8, when the technology is so advanced that it's hard to explain, then don't explain it. Just reframe it. Right? Jobs said it works like magic.
We're going to touch this with our fingers. And we have invented a new technology called multi-touch, which is phenomenal. It works like magic.
That's it. 4 simple words that anyone can understand. He even used the word magic, right? People don't question magic. You don't analyze magic. You just experience it. That language bypasses the analytical part of the brain that might ask, well, how does the capacitive system screen actually work, right? And it just goes straight to the emotional part of the brain that just says, wow. Now for you, when you have a complex process or a proprietary method, don't get bogged down in the technical details. Give it a name that implies a magical result. Call it your secret formula or your proprietary algorithm. Frame it as magic instead of mechanics. Number 9, even Steve Jobs, at the height of his power, knew that his own authority was not enough. He needed to align his vision with a respected pioneer.
One of the pioneers of our industry, Alan Kay, has had a lot of great quotes throughout the years. And I ran across one of them recently that explains how we look at this, explains why we go about doing things the way we do. Because we love software. And here's the quote. People who are really serious about software should make their own hardware. You know?
Right, so he used Alan Kay, I think it was, People who are really serious about the software should make their own hardware. So this is what's called borrow authority. He used a quote from a legendary computer scientist to validate Apple's entire philosophy, right? It's a powerful third-party endorsement by somebody that people actually respect and agree with. So don't just take my word for it, but it's one of the founding fathers of this industry that agrees with this philosophy, that came up with it. So who are the Alan Kays in your industry? Who are the respected leaders, the figures, the authors, the pioneers? Find a quote from them that aligns with your core message, and it will elevate your argument from an opinion to a shared philosophy with one of the greats. Now, tactic number 10. He finally makes a bold, specific claim that's almost impossible to challenge. He says the software is at least 5 years ahead of what's on any other phone.
So we're bringing breakthrough software to a mobile device for the first time. It's 5 years ahead of anything on any other phone.
This is what's called a quantified advantage. It's not just better, it's not just more advanced, it is 5 years ahead. And that specific number feels researched. It feels concrete. It creates also a massive gap between Apple and everybody else because it's a claim about the future. It's unfalsifiable in the present moment. Now for you, don't just say that you're better, quantify. Are you twice as fast? Do you save people 10 hours a week? Do you have a 3-step process instead of their 20-step one? Specific numbers cut through the noise and create this sense of instant credibility. So let's recap this code that we've gone through. We've got anticipation framing. We've got historical anchoring, the rule of 3, and the pattern interrupt as well, the straw man showdown. We've got us versus them, problem agitation, the false choice, the magic languaging, borrowed authority, and the quantifiable advantage. Now, these 10 tactics are the reason that the iPhone was not just a new product, it was a paradigm shift that felt both shocking and completely inevitable at the same time. Steve Jobs was not selling a device, he was selling a new reality. And he used this influence code to build that reality in the minds of millions before it even existed in their hands. This is the difference between marketing and influence. Marketing tries to convince, as influence creates a world where the conclusion is obvious. Now, my entire mission is to decode these principles for business owners and leaders who want to make a real impact. So if this breakdown resonated with you and you want to go deeper into the operating system of true influence, I've created a free community where we do this every single day. We break down speeches, we analyze negotiations, and we build real-world influence skills. It's called the game of influence. There is no pitch, no. There is a way that you can pay us if you'd like, but it's just a place for people who are serious about mastering this craft. And if that sounds like you, the link is down below in the description, and I'd love to see you there. And remember, stop trying to build a better product. Start by building a better reality, because that's how you win.